I have never seen any of these animals when I've walked through this part of the park. But again, I also feel like
Do you just run through that part?
I do. I just
Did
want to
you
get
know there
in
was like
and
a little
yeah.
cave that you could walk into and like a little bridge you can go over, like a
No.
little wooden bridge? Yeah.
See? I don't know any of this.
Waterfall.
I did know there was a waterfall, so I'll give myself credit for that, but the rest of it, no. I just again, I this is where I think I turn into the villain of this podcast because I just don't pay attention in this park, and I should. So shame on me.
I actually like that I'm not going to be the villain for a little bit. That's nice.
Hello, and welcome back to If It Were Up to Us, the podcast where we rethink, reimagine the ultimate Disney theme park destination. I'm your host, Chrissy, and this is my co-host, Stephanie. Hey,
Hey.
how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am hanging in there. I don't know what it is about like September, and I mean, we're only like a week into it, and life just feels hectic and crazy. I don't know if it's because like it's technically back to school or what, but it's just nuts.
It really is. It's something about fall. And then all the way through the holidays is just like go, 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 go. A million and one things. Everybody's birthday is in September. Not in my family, but like everybody around. I feel like it's crazy.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, my parents' anniversary is in September. My mother-in-law's birthday is in September. Like, thankfully, they're towards the end of the month. But yeah, it does feel like there's just a lot happening. And I know for me personally, like my kind of regular day job is I work for the American Cancer Society, shout out. And we are like in the thick of our fundraising season. So we have a bunch of events coming up, and that's where I work in, and it's crazy time, but it's fun and exciting. And but yeah, it's just gearing up for those last few weeks of stuff. It's just been crazy. Yeah. But okay, I do kind of have a nutso story that I'm going to tell you about because it just happened this morning. I have a very good friend of mine who also works at ACS. That's how I met her. And we have become like just really close friends. So like my kids call her Auntie Kate, and she had asked me if I could drive her to the airport this morning, like super early. And she is a wonderful human being. And so I was like, whatever you need, I will do it for you. So I ended up having to get up at like 4:30 this morning and drive about like 20-30 minutes to go get her. And I'm at her place, and I'm calling her and texting her, and she's not answering. She's not
No.
like she didn't respond to any of my texts. I was like, what is going on? And so then I start to get worried, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is like, it's so unlike her. She is the person that's like super punctual, like always on time, will set like 3 alarms, right? Like it was just kind of crazy. And so now I'm starting to like really get worried. So I call her roommate, who I know is out of town, and I was like, how do I get into your building? Because this thing is locked down. And thank goodness, for their security it is. But I was like, I can't get in to even like bang on her door or like get any closer to her than this parking lot. And so she did tell me there was like one like fire door that probably would open. So I like yanked on it. I feel bad for whoever has to watch the security cameras of what happened like early this morning, because they're just going to see me like walking around to every door trying to get in. So then I get up to her door. I'm pounding on the door. She's not answering. I was like freaking out. And finally she comes to the door and she's like, I just overslept. I was sleeping so hard. And I was like, I thought you were dead.
You don't realize I had to
Yeah.
break in here.
I was like, I was getting ready to bust this door down. Yeah, it was crazy. So that's how my morning started today, and it's just like, okay, here we go. So if I'm a little bit scatterbrained and just not my usual self, it's just what's going on right now. So
That's what happens when you break and enter.
right, that's what happens when you're. Yeah, I was
Little
like at
B&E
some
this
point,
morning.
just a little B&E, no big deal.
My
But
gosh.
yeah, so that's my life. I'm just,
Wait, is there
and
a
then I forgot the
community?
kids' school bags here at home
Oh.
when I dropped them off. I was like, I was like, I hope they don't need a change of clothes today because it's not happening.
Is there a community Facebook page Because there's gonna be something.
Yeah,
Did you
there's
guys
gonna.
see that woman trying to break into what?
I told her, I said, you're gonna come back from your little trip and see, like, does anyone recognize this person?
This woman.
Yeah. So, yeah, of
Oh.
all the other titles I have, add breaking and entering as one of them.
Jeez, oh man.
But she made it to
Oh.
the airport on time. She made her flight. It's all
Perfect.
fine.
It worked out, yeah.
But crazy morning for me. Yeah. So I guess, tell me, is like, obviously your life didn't start out that crazy today, but what's going on in your world?
Not much. It's Thursday when we're doing this, and like we're 11 days into the month, so work is already slowed down. I do accounts payable and receivable, so my beginning of the month is closing out the prior month, so I'm busy then. But usually by like the 9th or 10th, things have slowed down. So today was very just kind of chill.
Good.
We're already talking about our Christmas party, which seems insane, but I handle that. So I was like, listen, it's September. We have to lock in a date. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I
Holiday
know
stuff already.
you mentioned like all the holiday stuff like already happening. And I can remember my family like hounding us in like end of July, early August, like, when are you coming home? What's the plan for the holidays? And I was like, it's still summer. What are you talking about? And now I just feel like it's upon us and here. And yeah, it's crazy.
It feels nuts. I feel like our weekends are already like, I can pretty much pencil in something every weekend from now until the end of the year at this point. And it's just insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why
I don't know
time
if
flies so fast.
Yeah, honestly, like, yeah, it's just crazy. I don't know if any of our listeners feel that way, but if you do, certainly comment and let us know, because this this fall and like winter it just goes by so fast. So, yeah.
Except for the month of January. January up here in the north takes about 12 years to pass. It's the longest month of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone after that just gets faster and faster. It's just ridiculous.
I think I agree with that. Even though my son's birthday's at the end of January, I feel like it takes so long to get to that point, and then everything else just zooms right by. I feel that. I will say though, in a moment, like, I am pretty pumped because I full on caved on an impulse buy. Those Disney store emails got me, and I bought one of those pumpkin wreaths for my front door. It arrived last night. I broke it out this morning, and it makes me very happy.
Good. That's good. Did
All right.
you see
I was
that Walgreens actually has like the pumpkin heads, more so the one that's in like in Disneyland, and they're only like $30. And I saw somebody's YouTube video, and they were selling pretty much the same thing in the parks but smaller, and it was $35. I'm like, see? Now I got to go to Walgreens and locate one of these suckers.
Well, yeah, now I have to go to the pet store today, and wouldn't you know what's on my way? A Walgreens.
Walgreens.
So fun.
I haven't busted out any of my fall decorations yet. I might do that maybe next weekend.
I put out our little like yard flag, and I put the pumpkin up as soon as it got here. Other than that, it's all in the attic, and I don't even know if we could get to our attic right now. So who knows if that stuff comes down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Okay, then I guess do we have any kind of Disney news to share? The only thing that I saw that kind of came out recently, which I was like, really? This is all you're giving us? Is the fairy godmother is now going to be part of the experience at Bippity Boppity Boutique, which is cute, but I don't have any of the details around like what that looks like and I was like, why release that if you're not going to give me anything else?
Yeah, and I was kind of curious where that happens, because I did Bippity Boppity Boutique with my daughter in February, and there's a magic mirror, not to spoil this for anyone, but there's a magic mirror, and the fairy godmother appears in that, like in the mirror. So I'm just not sure at what point in the process, because what happens if nobody knows how Bippity Boppity Boutique works? You check in, and somebody comes and gets you. You pick kind of what package you want, kind of in a like I'm not going to tell you exactly what you're picking price-wise until after, but like if you look ahead, you'll know. And your daughter gets to pick, or son or whatever gets to pick the dress and the outfit and the accessories, and then you sit back down. They take you into a fitting area, and that's where the mirror is, and they do like a cute little thing like magic mirror, and you have to say something, like the kids have to say something. And while there's still stuff happening in the mirror, but like the main event's over, the cast members are actually checking your child's hair for lice, which is the cutest thing, because unless you've been around children and know, like, right. Checking, you wouldn't pick up on it, but they make it so easy, like you wouldn't even know. Then you go get changed, you sit in a waiting room, they take you across to under in the castle, and that's where the like hairdressers and stuff are, and they walk around cameras and take pictures the whole time. So I just don't know where
that fits in that experience. Yeah. I mean, unless she's just like walking around while they're getting styled, I just don't know.
And there's not a lot of room in there. Yeah. It's very tight.
Yeah, because there's the chairs, and then there's the places for like grown-ups to sit, right? Or and it's kind of just like one little circular room, and it's tight. Unless maybe there'll be like more of an ending experience where you go and meet her at the end, somewhere. Because really, after they did our hair, we just kind of went and stood under the castle, and they're like, here's her little gift bag, and here's this, and they said a little saying, and that was it. So, I don't know. Well, maybe they'll revamp it to be a little bit more, I don't know if interactive is the right word, but yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, so now I have to do that again. Just so I can find out.
Okay, let me ask you this. Like, have you ever wanted to be bippity boppity boutiqued, like, as an adult?
Okay, I'm crazy. So no, because it was too much time. Not wasted. It was a great experience, but like for an adult, I'd feel it was like wasted time in the park. Now, if you could do it like still in Disney Springs or somewhere outside of the park, maybe, but probably not.
Yeah, I could see me like wanting to get my hair did, and but like to have a full experience, like no. I mean, I'm not buying a costume or anything like that, but like yeah, I wouldn't mind, having a little like a braid or something, although I have very, very thin hair, so I don't know. They'd have to put something in it to make it look poofy and magical, but yeah, I could see myself doing that. But certainly not as like a full whole thing. Yeah.
I just saw somebody sharing about the braid place in Pop Century. It's like a third party comes in, they have a little hut, and you can get your hair like French braided, and you can add beads into it and stuff. So you could do that. Cool. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, maybe I'd have to do something like that. Okay. Any other kind of Disney news that's come out recently? I feel like after what was it, Destination D23, there hasn't been a ton of stuff really revealed.
No, not really. So. I did see that the Rivers of America was drained, but then Mother Nature filled it back up. It rained a lot.
Even Mother Nature was like, no.
No, absolutely not.
Sorry.
I think I saw that this morning, and I chuckled to myself a bit. That's funny. I'm sure the workers are like, oh my gosh, we just drained that. Darn.
Come on now. Yeah, it's interesting to see like how much construction you can really see, considering Disney usually walls that up pretty good. But yeah, I think I saw a photo of it all drained and everything too. But man,
wild. I'm imagining Disney will put in some bigger walls, like once they drain that fully.
Yeah.
Because you can stand up on that dockway and pretty much look into there, and that's, see like everything. You said, very unlike Disney.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah. Okay, if we don't have any other news, do you want to take a quick break, and then we'll get into our discussion for the day, which is Animal Kingdom.
Sounds good.
Let's talk Animal Kingdom. Before we get into anything, I want to know, what are your thoughts about Animal Kingdom? Is this a must visit? Like, what are your thoughts?
I always hate to say my thoughts because I feel like I'm very negative when it comes to Disney. When we're watching these back, I'm kind of like, wow, I really love Disney, guys, I promise. With that being said, gonna be negative. I think Animal Kingdom is an amazing park. I think Disney does a great job with being educational while also just making this like a really neat, very hot, but very neat park.
Mm-hmm.
And I love animals. However, we pretty much consider it a glorified zoo. Who's talking to you?
It's my Alexa. We're podcasting from home, and my Alexa is going off to remind me to clean the litter box because we have a vet appointment tomorrow. So I have to bring in a sample. And so I have to clean the litter box to make sure that whatever I grab tomorrow is fresh.
It's fresh.
TMI. So excuse me, my Alexa is very rude. She's just popping in here. Okay,
we consider it a glorified zoo, pretty much. However, we do like Animal Kingdom. I didn't visit Animal Kingdom, even though I visited Disney for the first time in 2016. We didn't go to Animal Kingdom until 2019. So it was like my fourth visit, I think, is the first time that I went there. I think I went. Yeah, it was the fourth visit. This was when I was pregnant with my daughter. And that was the first time I visited Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom.
Okay. All right.
And I don't consider Animal Kingdom in its current state even to be pretty much like a half a day park. So, what about you?
Okay, so I am, I'm not as, I feel like I'm usually like, yay, Disney, right? This is one of those things that like, I feel like I don't give it enough time to appreciate it, to be able to say it is a park that I would revisit. Like, I don't know if it's just like, I feel like my park days are limited, or it's just like, I have not been to Animal Kingdom probably since 2019. There are things I want to do in the park, but once I get on property, I just feel like there are so many other things I want to do that these all kind of get pushed to the back burner. I will say I did stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge the last time I was there, and that was awesome. Like, it was like really cool to see. I loved the hotel, and like I had a Savannah View room so I could see animals, and that was really cool. And I do love a good zoo. So I feel like while it is not a must-do on my list for every trip, it's one that I really do feel like I need to give a little more credit to, and maybe like just say, okay, this is what we're doing this trip, and check it out, because I do think there are a lot of really cool things about what they're doing at Animal Kingdom and the way that the park is laid out. And in doing research for this episode, I did find out some like, I don't know if it's like new details or just like the way that they envisioned it, how they came about it, the way that the Imagineers really looked at like even just like the layout of the park. And so now that I have that information, maybe I'll appreciate it a little bit more. I don't know. We'll see.
So you didn't go to Animal Kingdom when you were there in March?
No, we had plans to. And then we ended up, what did we do? I don't remember why. Oh, so the original plan was I was going to have the resort drop my luggage at the hotel for me, right? Like, because I was doing a split stay. And so I was going to just go and rope drop Animal Kingdom on that trip. And then it ended up that my mom ended up driving in the day before. And so she was going to have to drive everything over. And then she was going to meet me in Hollywood Studios. And then I ended up just deciding like, hey, we'll get up, we'll go. And that way we can get to Hollywood Studios just a little bit earlier. So I didn't end up going because there was a list of things that I wanted to do while I was there. So and then because of that, there's a lot that I really haven't done in the park. Yeah, I mean, I think we did go to Animal Kingdom when we went for my son's trip in 2021, but it was so hot that day that like I feel like we did maybe a couple things and then left. Like it was not a big like day for us. It was just, and it is a hot park. So
it is. And I think that while the front is so pretty and everything, even if you take a bus in, it's a hike to like get to the action of Animal Kingdom. The buses, I feel like, are pretty far away. And I think the last couple times we've been to Animal Kingdom, except for in our trip in February, but when we went in May, we drove. In the May before, we drove. And we got, I think, closer by paying preferred parking than you do getting off some of these bus stops.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there and you're listening, there's no shade from the walk from the bus stops, except like once you get out of the bus stop area, there's no shade. And you get through the park and you have to go up through the Oasis Island or whatever it's called. And then up through there, down over the bridge, and then you finally see the Tree of Life. And then from there, you have to go right, left, the other side to get to an attraction.
Yeah.
By the time you do that, all of the foliage and trees and stuff hold humidity. Like, they just, like, harbor it. And it is so hot. Like, I have been the hottest I've ever been in my entire life in that park. When I did the 4-park challenge, because of where I stayed, Animal Kingdom was my last stop. And I remember standing in line to meet Daisy in Dino Land and thinking, okay, I think I may implode. I am so hot. And my water was empty, and I was just like, I don't want to get out of this line, though, because I'm back. The hottest I've literally ever been because of the walk out of Hollywood Studios, and then the walk into Animal Kingdom just did me in. And so it was July too.
I distinctly it was a June trip for us, and I distinctly remember like walking back to the bus and being like, I cannot do it. We've just gotta, because I think our plan was to because it was a half-day park, our plan was to go to Disney Springs after that, and so but I remember that walk just being like just awful, and we said screw it, we're just gonna go back to the hotel and cool off. But I mean, it is a beautiful park, but it is hot. It is. Yeah. Okay, well, I did go down a little bit of a research rabbit hole again because it's just not a park I visited. I don't know it like the back of my hand like I do Magic Kingdom. So I thought I got to learn a little bit more about Animal Kingdom, and so I thought I could teach you some of the things that I learned. So if you'll indulge me for a bit of a research rabbit hole, I have a bit of history on the park and kind of how it came to be and all of that. Are you ready for that?
Yep. Are you ready to rumble? That's how you started that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I should have said. It would have been way cooler. I'm just not that cool, okay? Okay, so Animal Kingdom. The way that it was kind of described when it was like the concept was coming out, or when they announced this park, it was based on mankind's enduring love for animals and celebrating all animals that ever were or never existed. And I'll get into that in a minute, but it was spurred on a lot by Walt's love of animals and his true life adventures. Some of the quotes that came out of like Michael Eisner's, when they announced that they would be building this new park, he said that this is to the traditional zoo as the motion picture was to the stage play. It's a whole new leap forward that keeps the concept of combining education and entertainment alive and well, which we know kind of from the most recently opened park, Epcot, right? The edutainment factor that Disney does so well. And then he also said Disney recognizes the need for awareness of endangered animals and their environments has never been greater. We believe that as storytellers and communicators, we are in a unique position to promote a deeper understanding and love for all animals, which I definitely think is true. The fact that Disney does storytelling so well, and I do think that's really evident in this park, in the way that they tell the stories and create kind of this immersive environment for being able to look at animals and the things that are, happening within this park. I do think that the storytelling is a huge component, and it's part of that piece that like I really want to go into the park and really just like take in and appreciate. So the park was really the brainchild of, at the time, CEO Michael Eisner and Disney legend and former Imagineer Joe Rohde. So I thought this was kind of interesting. Eisner wanted something to rival Busch Gardens Tampa, which he felt was something Disney was not currently offering and was stealing potential revenue from the parks. As a little bit of background for those of you who don't know Busch Gardens, it is a lot like what Animal Kingdom is. It's like half theme park, half zoo. Um, just a little bit of back history, or a tangent, if you will. It originally opened in 1959, intended as a beautifully landscaped facility to sell beer. In case you didn't know, Busch Gardens, Busch Beer, Busch Family, right? To sell their beer. And the wildlife was added to the park in 1965 thanks to August Busch Jr., who was an advocate for wildlife. And this was really fun for me to learn because it's the second time that Disney and the Busch families were kind of like intertwined or had this like weird kind of competitive relationship. But what Eisner noticed was that guests really enjoyed encountering exotic animals in like their tropical habitats, plus the thrill rides. So Eisner was really optimistic that Walt Disney World could have a park that could do the same thing. So he brings in kind of a team to look at this and kind of basically conduct their own like feasibility study, learn a lot about what's happening, and basically what ends up happening is that this group comes back and they have really negative opinions about Disney doing an animal park. They basically said like it's a glorified zoo. There is a zoo in, so many communities and cities all over the world, and you're going to do that here, and why would people pay you to do something that they can do at home for a lot less? Basically, he was like, why are we going to charge people? The only difference is that we'd be charging them like $50 to do this, right? And to his credit, Eisner basically said like, okay, so if you think it's that bad of an idea, it must be a good idea, which is like crazy, but also, it worked out in the end, right? So he ends up bringing in Joe Rohde and then a team of Imagineers, and they really were instrumental in bringing immersion and authenticity into the park. As legend has it, when Rohde went in to pitch this kind of to Eisner and what they were thinking, he brought in like a 600-pound Bengal tiger to the meeting, which, was also crazy but also seemed to work. So what ended up happening is that the Imagineers ended up traveling to Africa and Asia to study architecture and design, and insisting on design elements like the decay seen in buildings succumbing to nature, and like the thatched roof that we see over in the Harambe area. That being said, obviously Disney board, Disney execs, they were really kind of cautious in approaching or how to approach kind of an animal theme park with live animals. And a lot of this actually stemmed from a proposed park. I don't know if you've heard of it, but if you haven't, Disney's America theme park. Have you heard of that?
I haven't.
So it was a proposed theme park, again, in this Eisner era, that basically, like, they put it out there. They were going to do a history-based theme park. It was going to be kind of like a one-day park, but it was going to be located up in like Virginia, and it was going to be themed to the history of America. And like, basically, it ended up being completely canceled due to the backlash and opposition that they received when they came out with this announcement that they were going to do this theme park. Lots of like locals and historians and activists, like, they were really against the park and concerned it would be kind of a Pollyanna view of history, and more concerned, like, they were really concerned that the park was going to be or that Disney was going to be more concerned with the political correctness in the park and not like an accurate retelling of American history. And then the other thing was like what we saw happen in like Disneyland, which is we put a park in a place and then we have this like boom of hotels, restaurants, and all the things that kind of go around it. The impact, because there was a nearby national battlefield. So they're like, now you're going to have this impact on what is potentially, I mean, it's a place where soldiers fought and died. And so they were really concerned about that. And so before they announced anything, they really kind of did their due diligence in making sure that they had the right people on this project, and looking at kind of everything that they needed to do to really make it successful. So, like I said, before the park was announced, they brought in experts, zoologists, curators, veterinarians from around the world to advise on how to obtain and care, how to exhibit or care for the animals, how to exhibit and then manage the animals. What ended up happening was this group eventually became the advisory board for like the Disney Wildlife Conservation Fund. And then this advisory board really ended up being one of the best defenses that they had when groups did eventually express concerns about Disney having this animal park. If you've watched the Imagineering story, you'll know that even Jane Goodall was brought in to kind of advise on the park and ended up expressing support for the way that Disney was doing things and the care that they really showed. So I think that Disney learned a lot from, that whole fiasco with Disney's America and ended up really, doing it the right way. To this day, they're still accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which basically says that they meet or exceed standards in animal care, welfare, education, conservation, and research. So if you're like unfamiliar with Animal Kingdom, just know, or maybe you can rest easy in knowing that they are really doing it the right way. So that being said, in order to do that, then when they were creating or laying out the park and envisioning the different lands, things have obviously changed since the park's opening. And I'll get into kind of what things looked like opening day versus what they look like now. But because they wanted to do it the right way, the budget on this park actually ended up really kind of ballooning because of all the background care and things that they needed to do to make sure that the animals were taken care of. And so the plans that they had, some things got scrapped, and I'll get into that here in a minute. But let's, or I guess I should say, like, any thoughts about that as far as like the history of it goes, or were you ever one to say like, were you ever one to be doubtful, or would you ever be one to be doubtful about a theme park and like a zoo together in one?
I had like a stint for a while where I was very anti-zoo for like a while. And then I was like, wait, okay, maybe I get it. I did more research. Yeah. Maybe it's not so bad. No, I think Disney is probably the best people to have a zoo type of thing, because they're going to make sure they do everything and dot their I's and cross their T's, because they're so heavily watched to make sure they do everything right. Because as soon as they mess up one little thing, I mean, everybody and their mother is jumping down their throats. So
yeah, I think they certainly do. Yeah, they do their due diligence, and they really are very heavily invested in what the court of public opinion says about them. And we've known that from the get-go. When Walt picked his own park, was he wanted to make sure that things went across the right way, for sure. So let's talk about what opening day looked like for this park. So Animal Kingdom opened on Earth Day in 1998. They had a giant celebration that included guests like Jane Goodall, featured dancers and African drummers, rose petal confetti, a choir of 500 chanting in Zulu, and even a performance of the Circle of Life, led by Grammy Award winner Lebo M, known for like The Lion King on Broadway. Eisner read from a dedication plaque, and that said, "Welcome to a kingdom of animals, real, ancient, and imagined. A kingdom ruled by lions, dinosaurs, and dragons. A kingdom of balance, harmony, and survival. A kingdom we enter to share in the wonder, gaze at the beauty, thrill at the drama, and learn." Roughly 28,000, paying guests, 5,000 journalists, and many more annual pass holders attended opening day. Some guests even camped out overnight for the gates to open. Turnstiles were actually closed by 9 a.m. to non-resort guests, so that's how many people showed up. On opening day, there were over 1,000 animals showcased in the park. The opening day lands consisted of the Oasis, Safari Village, which is now known as Discovery Island, Africa, Dinoland USA, and Camp Mini Mickey. Over the years, kind of looking ahead, kind of getting us up to today, Asia opened, blah, blah, blah. Asia opened less than a year later in April of 1999 with the Kali River Rapids and the Maharaja Jungle Trek. Expedition Everest was added in April of 2006, and then the brand new land of Pandora, World of Avatar, opened May of 2017. Kind of the park today, looking at it, it is Disney's largest park as far as like the acreage. It does, like, when you consider the safari ride and all of the backstage areas that it takes to care for these animals, it's actually over 500 acres, which is large enough to fit the other 3 parks inside of it. Like, that is mind-boggling to me. This park is known for shorter operating hours than any other Disney theme park, and it has the fewest attractions. There's also no fireworks or nighttime show. That's largely in part to, again, the care of the animals, and they don't want to do anything that could scare or spook the animals. And I do believe there were some kind of nighttime things that happened pretty much right before park closing, like some projections on the Tree of Life, and then there were some other shows that kind of took place that are no longer in that park, like Kite Tales was one of them. We'll kind of get into that here, but yeah, so overall, the park kind of in its existing state right now, like we said, we both are kind of in agreement that it needs some stuff. It's very cool to have all these animals, but how many times do you really go and look at the animal exhibits? And then I think its lack of attractions is a huge kind of downfall for this park. It's definitely a half-day park in my book, if that. Let me think here. Okay, so here's some fun facts for you about Disney's Animal Kingdom. The first Fast Pass was actually distributed at Animal Kingdom, given to a guest for the safari. It's the only park to have doors on the restrooms, allowing for protection in the event of an animal escape, which...
A 600-pound tiger.
Yes, let's hope that never happens. And it also features a balloon babysitting service. I don't know if you know this, but if you go to Park Hop to Animal Kingdom and you purchase a balloon in another park, or you unknowingly bring in a balloon, they will actually they'll have you drop it off at the balloon babysitting service, and then when you go to pick it up, it'll give you a little card about what your balloon did that day and how they did at babysitting. And I think that is the most adorable thing ever.
It really is. Now I just want to take a balloon in there.
Yeah, I know, right? Just for the fun of it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I think Disney, there are other things that are not allowed in the park, like, plastic straws. And I think they don't even give you lids to cups, and everything is really biodegradable, in that park as well. But yeah, I think there are more restrictions on what you can and can't bring in than any other theme park, just because of the animals, which again just shows Disney's doing it right. Let's see here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some things that were planned. Like I said, the budget for this park really did balloon when it came to looking at what the care and keeping of these animals was really going to cost, and how they needed to do it. And so there were a few things that were planned kind of for opening day that never really happened. So I know I've kind of hinted to it that we talked about things that never were real or imagined animals, and that kind of thing. So it was originally planned for this park to feature mythical creatures and things that don't really exist, unicorns and dragons and all that kind of stuff. And that was partly due to a land that they were going to call Beastly Kingdom. You know anything about this, Stephanie?
I do not.
So if you look at the Animal Kingdom logo, you'll see that there is a dragon silhouette in it, right? Yeah. And I think that now with the inclusion of Pandora, we do see that kind of imaginary world being featured in this park. But what was originally planned was something quite different. Like I said, it was called Beastly Kingdom. This was going to have a light and a dark side to this kind of section of the park. In the light side, they were going to feature the quest for the unicorn, which was a hedge maze encounter with mythical creatures. So you'd go through this maze and you would see different mythical creatures. And then by the end of it, you would get to go visit the unicorn's hidden grotto if you made your way through successfully. I assume these were going to be like maybe some animatronics, but I don't really know for sure. I couldn't find that in my research. The other area that was going to exist was going to be the Fantasia Gardens area, which was going to feature a swan boat attraction with mythical creatures from the Pastoral Symphony portion of the Fantasia film. I don't know enough about the Fantasia film to know what section that was or what those creatures looked like. But it sounds interesting, I guess. I mean, I don't know. The real cool thing was going to be the emphasis that Michael Eisner really put on having thrilling attractions in this park. And so one of those things is going to be featured on the dark side of Beastly Kingdom, and it was going to be called the Dragon's Tower. When I read the description for this, like, I immediately thought of one scene in The Hobbit, and that's all I could think about was like this. So basically, a dragon makes like this fictional castle its new home, guarding treasures of jewels and gold, and that like was all I could think of was that scene in The Hobbit where they go to fight the dragon. And I don't know enough about The Hobbit, so forgive me, but like I feel like their little quest leads to that point, and they have to defeat the dragon, and that's all the dragon has is all of this like riches and stuff. But then this is where the story takes a little bit of a weirder turn. Thieving bats inhabit the caves nearby who convince you to join in their heist to steal the dragon's riches. Okay, a little bit more on the more imaginative side, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
This ended up being basically would be an inverted roller coaster that creates the sensation of flying alongside these thieving bats in a wild chase with a climax that would lead to an encounter with the fire-breathing dragon. And again, all I can say is like it's the scene out of The Hobbit. So what may have been like an original story for this kingdom, I just kept thinking it's The Hobbit. So,
it's The Hobbit.
Yeah. We do know that like the inverted coaster, that's the type of coaster that we're going to see for the Monsters Inc. Door ride that they're bringing along. Obviously that's not in this park, but we did kind of see that kind of come to fruition. But the other things really just kind of fell to the wayside. So this Beastly Kingdom area really, it ended up being, what it came down to was, can we do Dino Land and Beastly Kingdom? And they said, we cannot do both. So you got to pick one or the other. And they ended up going with Dino Land. And even that was going to be different than what we ended up having originally, or what we ended up having. So originally it was planned for there to be a roller coaster in Dino Land. And this was going to be called the Excavator. The storyline kind of behind this was, this whole area, there were fossils discovered, and so the Dino Institute came in to take over this site and excavate it. Paleontology students ended up, as the story goes, paleontology students converted ore cars used to haul up the sand and gravel from the bottom of the dig pit to dump trucks, which they should not have done because they're not engineers to do that. And basically this was going to be a coaster ride through a section of the dig that's far too dangerous to enter in a very dangerous, what should have never been kind of vehicle. And the ride would at one point bring riders through the inside of a dinosaur skeleton. So, yeah. Obviously
Wow.
that never happened. The theming, however, and kind of the vibe that they were going to go with for this coaster did end up being used for the Boneyard kind of play space that ended up being put into Dino Land USA. And then the other ride that was talked about, and I don't have a note about where it was supposed to go necessarily, I want to say maybe in Africa, I don't really know, was going to be called Tiger Rapids Run boat ride. And this one, again, I forget exactly where they said it was going to be located. So I may put that in the comments or, in the video here. But this ended up, as they were designing and developing that space, it ended up like not fitting, and they ended up basically turning it and moving it into what we now know as Kali River Rapids. So the ride does exist, just not in its original location with the original theming. So that's kind of what I know as far as like what was originally planned and how that differed from what we actually end up having today. I would have loved to see a Beastly Kingdom. I think, to be honest, I feel like when I envision or when I think of a Beastly Kingdom, I do think more of like the villains type stuff. So it'd be interesting to see if any of these ideas come to fruition in this new villains land, because I could totally see there being a Maleficent attraction very similar to like Dragon's Tower in Villains Land. Like I could totally see that being part of that. So it'll be interesting to see if that idea comes around. If not, hey Disney, listen up. That would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of, it did end up, the other thing, I mentioned kind of Camp Mini Mickey, it was really a temporary space that was going to be a holdout for Beastly Kingdom. They were hoping to develop that eventually. We know, and from what I understand about opening day, again, I don't recall being there in the early days of Animal Kingdom, but what we know it to kind of ended up being, it really did look like a very temporary space. Camp Mini Mickey did. I do know that what was originally there was Festival of the Lion King. That was part of Camp Mini Mickey, so that one did eventually get moved when we closed down that area of the park to make room for Pandora. So I thought maybe we could talk about just some of the lands, because I know we're kind of button up on time a little bit. But I thought we could just talk about some of the lands, and then we'll do maybe a part 2 for some of the other spaces in the park and what we would bring to our version of an Animal Kingdom. So you feel free to jump in with your ideas or your thoughts on each of these different areas. Okay. Okay, so the Oasis, that space is what, when you think of the traditional kind of Castle Park theme park layout that we see, and we do see it utilized somewhat in our other parks. Epcot has that long entryway and then it kind of opens up. And then, we see it in Hollywood Studios with, what is it? It's not Hollywood Boulevard, Lake Buena Vista, that first kind of road that you go down and then it opens up, right? So we see that concept of like a main street and then a hub in the layout of most of these parks. The thing that they really wanted Animal Kingdom to do was really to set off your own adventure when they designed the park, and they really wanted you to basically get lost in this theme park and explore everything. You need to add less humidity and more shade if you want me to get lost in that park. I'll just say that. Like, I'm not, and I think if I remember correctly, and again, I could be wrong, but I think they were at first even against printing maps and podcast at home, the dog shakes, printing maps and even using like directional signage to like have guests understand like or orient themselves in the park. They really did want them to really get lost and adventure through kind of the jungles in this kingdom, which I feel like is a really cool concept, but terrible planning for a theme park. So, for sure. But if we kind of think of that,
if you want people to panic,
right? If you want people to panic, yeah. I mean, and I do think we do kind of see some of that vibe in the way that they've done these like trails and you really do wind your way kind of through this park. But we do see that kind of main welcome area and then a hub. We still do see that in the park. So the Oasis, we've kind of talked about this. This is really what is the park's like main gate area. Just out front of the park as it exists right now is a Rainforest Cafe. Then you have the main gate, and then you have what we consider like the park necessities that you do end up seeing in most of our parks: guest services, stroller rental, lockers, kind of those guest amenities that you need to have at the front of a theme park. You do see those in this Oasis space. That being said, though, there are still animals and animal-like lookout areas within this part of the park. Some of the animals that you can see right when you walk in include anteaters, babirussas, wallabies, and spoonbills, according to Disney's website. These will change as they, have animals kind of come and go within the park, but that's what was listed as of today's recording. I have never seen any of these animals when I've walked through this part of the park. But again, I also feel like
you just run through that part.
I do. I just
Did you know there was like a little cave that you could walk into and like a little bridge you can go over, like a little wooden bridge? Yeah.
See, I don't know any of this.
Waterfall.
I did know there was a waterfall, so I'll give myself credit for that. But the rest of it, no. This is where I think I turn into the villain of this podcast, because I just don't pay attention in this park, and I should. So shame on me.
I actually like that I'm not going to be the villain for a little bit. That's nice.
This may be the one that people are like, yeah, I just don't. Okay, the only other thing that's really in this area of the park is actually kind of in between the Oasis area and the next section of the park, which is Discovery Island, and that's the headquarters for Wilderness Explorers, which, if you're unfamiliar with this is kind of the Explorer. It's basically like the equivalent to the Passport in Epcot, where kids and adults can become wilderness explorers alongside Russell and Kevin and our friends from Up. And, the wilderness must be explored. So this is a huge draw, I think, for kids going through this park. I think participating in this activity would help you explore some of those areas that are kind of off the beaten path, or, not the attractions themselves, but the lands. And maybe having never done it, maybe that's why I don't appreciate this park. I don't know. But maybe that's my problem. I'm just not a wilderness explorer.
So are we changing anything about this Oasis Island area of the park?
Not necessarily this section. I mean, I don't know what you do to like not trap heat in this park. But I think that it's such a small section of the park to begin with. I will say, what is Rainforest Cafe doing there? I don't understand it. It makes like zero sense to me. I mean, it's a chain restaurant. It's nothing Disney related. I don't know. I just feel like it's, why do we need it? Yeah,
I've
it's
never
just weird.
been to it.
It's out of place. That location, or a Rainforest Cafe ever?
A Rainforest Cafe ever at all.
Okay, so
I don't think so. No.
It's a janky kind of place. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, don't hate me, Rainforest Cafe, but like they're really poorly done.
You're not getting quality food there.
Yeah, it's pretty basic stuff, and yes, the theming is kind of cool in that like you're dining in the middle of a rainforest with these like really off Disney brand like animatronics, and then occasionally like a storm rolls through, and so you hear rain and thunder and lightning, and like I have taken my children to it and they got freaked out. So like I don't really understand what the draw is about this, especially when the quality of things like animatronics is so great at Disney. Why are we bringing in something that's funky?
Yeah, it's weird. So we're getting rid of the Rainforest Cafe at the front of the park is what you're saying?
I think so. I mean, If you want to have a restaurant out there, do it. Have a restaurant.
I don't think there needs to be. I think it's kind of weird for there to be a restaurant right there.
I think I agree. Like, it's just weird.
It's not making the cut.
Bye. Not in our park.
The rest of it, though, I think is fine.
Yeah.
I'm good with leaving it how it is.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that works for me too.
Maybe for time-wise, we just do our Tree of Life Discovery Island area, and then we'll do the rest of the lands on part 2. I think
you're right. Okay, I was gonna say, so then let's move into this Discovery Island section of the park. I equate this with like the hub in the Castle Park, because you have to pass through here to get to the upon entry into the park to get to the other lands or areas of this park. This is also where we kind of do see our merchandise shops and kind of our park-wide dining that aren't specific to each land. So that's why I kind of feel like it makes the most sense. It's also where our icon is, right? The Tree of Life. So it was originally called Safari Village. The name was later changed to avoid confusion about where the safari actually was, which makes a lot of sense because if I'm walking into a park and I hear Safari Village, I'm thinking that attraction is there when it's actually not there. Okay, talking about our park's icon, Weenie. The Tree of Life, it is 145 feet tall, 50 feet wide. It is an artificial, I have heard this all morning in my head and now I can't say it. Baobab tree? Baobab tree? I don't know.
Baobab, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. Over 320 animal carvings are in the trunk. For anyone going next time, I know where the hidden Mickey is in this trunk. I have seen it. It is above it's either a rhino or a hippopotamus now that I say that. But it's above the eye and it's actually upside down. So it's very hard to find, but search for it. These carvings were like the whole portion of the tree. It was built like the inside structure of this is like an old oil rig. And then all of this is carved concrete. All of these animal carvings were done, I mean, it's so beautiful. And you really do have to walk around and take a look at it because it's really iconic and a very, very cool piece of this park. So yeah, they do, or at one point did do projections on the tree for some kind of nighttime entertainment. They do not do that anymore. Then there at the Tree of Life is also the Tree of Life Theater, which contains a 3D theater, formerly housing It's Tough to Be a Bug, which closed at the beginning part of this year. And we will soon have Zootopia Better Together. That'll be the show that's down there opening November 7th of this year. Yeah. How do you feel about this?
For my part, I'm going to put It's Tough to Be a Bug back in the Tree of Life, only because I have another area for the Zootopia show.
Okay, all right.
And I kind of like that scares children.
What is wrong with you? Okay, all right, now. I don't know, like, even as an adult, I was creeped out by this show, okay? Like, it's this 4D, like, they're too realistic looking to begin with. Then you add the 3D element, make them look like they're coming at me. Okay.
They drop from the ceiling.
But then to, like, feel them, like, crawling on my back or, like, right around, like, the air puffs around my ankles, like, I'm just, bleh. No, thank you. No, thank you. I would much rather have the old, like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, one of these 4D things where they make you feel the certain things than It's Tough to Be a Bug. And that doesn't even make sense in this park, but I would rather have that than this. It's just buggies, ew, gross. No. Ugh. But I can agree that I do think there is another place for what we have planned that the Zootopia Better Together show makes more sense. That being said, can we just maybe do something not bug related? Anything but bugs. I don't know what it would be.
Sure.
Yeah. If we we have to go, if we're confining ourselves to what's been announced, what was there before, fine. It's Tough to Be a Bug is fine, I guess. But ugh.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with a show.
Yeah, we'll have to imagine something on our own.
It's Tough to Be a Bug. I just don't want it to be the Zootopia show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just know you're going to cut the clip of me saying I like that it scares children. And
that is for sure staying in. I'm not cutting that. What are you talking about?
No, it will be cutting it and putting it everywhere.
It will be a highlight on all of our social media for sure. Yeah. People are going to think you're a terrible human.
Wasn't there another ride in this area, raft ride or something? You could get on a barge or something?
Yes. Okay. So that is the other attraction that was formerly here. It was called the Discovery, at first it was like the Discovery River Rafts something, and then it became the Discovery River Taxis. A lot of people thought that this was an attraction. There was kind of some. It ended up being renamed to Discovery River Taxis because it really was more of a transportation thing than an attraction. And I think a lot of people were getting on it thinking it was going to be a lot like the Jungle Cruise, and that was not the case. So they had to rename it to the River Taxis so that people understood this is more of a transportation method than anything else. And so that was my idea, was to bring those back. I think if you have another option than walking in this park, that would be great. And it also allows you a really unique view of the Tree of Life. So my idea was to bring those back. So
I'm good with that.
Okay, so let's talk dining and shopping in this area real quick. We have Flame Tree Barbecue, Isle of Java, Pizza-Fari, Nomad Lounge, Tiffin's, and Creature Comforts. 2 coffee things in one area of the park seems interesting to me, but then I remember how big this park is.
What's the other coffee thing?
Creature Comforts. It's like a coffee bakery. I think that's the Starbucks location. If
It
I'm
is,
not
but what's
mistaken.
the other one?
Isle of Java. It's on the other side, closest to like Dino Land and
I've never been to
Asia,
that one.
I think. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. He's just barking. Like, I saw a notification on my ring light, but I don't see a person or anything, so I don't know. Chester, sit down. Get gone. Go away. The tail is slowly falling. Okay. Any opinions on these restaurants?
Okay, Animal Kingdom has one thing going for it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's their food is good.
Mm-hmm.
They have some of the best food in this park. I love Flame Tree Barbecue. I think it can stay.
Mm-hmm.
Creature Comforts is for sure staying.
Mm-hmm.
I will fight you on that one.
My
I don't-
Starbucks girl.
I don't care about the Isle of Java.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever been to it. I need to
don't
go
think I
visually
have.
look at this. So I'm good. I'm good with all the food options.
Okay, yeah. Pizza-Fari, terrible pizza, but it's a pizza place in a park, so I would not get rid of it. I might make it better, but I wouldn't get rid of it. And then Nomad Lounge and Tiffin's is kind of
I
the
love Nomad
upscale. Yeah, I was gonna say I keep a bar for sure, and I've never eaten at Tiffin's or anything like that, but I'm
Have you been
okay
to
with
Nomad
that.
Lounge?
no. Mm-mm. I don't go to this park. I've done nothing. So
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How about the Mickey and Minnie in their safari getup doing meet and greets? We're keeping that. I'm imagining.
Yeah, I don't really have anywhere necessarily. I mean, maybe I do. I love the idea of like a Camp Mini Mickey vibe, but I just don't know how well that plays into anywhere else in this park or bringing like it doesn't necessarily need its own land. So yeah, I guess the meet and greet could stay here. That would be fine.
Did you know that if you donate any amount, words and sentences are hard. If you're purchasing, the best place, in my opinion, to do this is at the Starbucks location, Creature Comforts. You can donate to the Conservation Fund, and they will give you a pin, like the size of the like first visit and celebration. They'll give you like a little pin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can do this anywhere, any of the merchandise. I believe it's anywhere, any of the merchandise locations and Creature Comforts. You
Okay.
can donate to the Disney
That's
Conservation
really
Fund
okay.
and get a little button. And
Very cool. I didn't know that because I don't go to this park and I'm very sorry. They've got a couple of different like merch stores here. I don't know anything about them or wouldn't change them. I do think it makes the most sense to have like the bigger gift shops and souvenir shops and stuff here because you've got to come out this way to get in and out of the park. I will say there are animals to see here as well. Flamingos, kangaroos, lemurs, otters, tamarins, and vultures are some of the animals that you can catch here on Discovery Island. I have an idea for where I might move some kangaroos, but other than that, I'm not specific to any of those other animals.
Where are you putting the kangaroos?
Well, that is just going to have to be a secret for next time.
Oh, okay.
Which kind of brings us. Area. Yeah, I'm going to take them out of this area because I have a whole big idea. But I think that kind of brings us to our time. I know we're a little bit over. So
yeah, so if you want to hear where you're taking the kangaroos, if it were up to us,
well, you'll just have to listen.